Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining. I am Sri Lankan Sammy. Let's check to make sure everything's working. Yeah, everything is working great here. Um, Thanks for joining. I'm Sri Lankan Sammy, retired with mom and dad. I am a Canadian Sri Lankan citizen, semi-retired in Sri Lanka with my senior parents. Coming to you live from Sri Lanka this morning. It is, what time is it? 6:30 in the morning here, and 10 o'clock in the morning in Korea. Mom and dad are just waking up. I've been up for a while. I had a class earlier this morning in Korea. I work online, and I'm here to talk to you today about debt. Oh, the, the worst thing that can ever happen to you in your life, in my life. Now, I'm not a financial guy. I'm not an expert in anything. I am just a guy, all right, who has lived a long time. I'm 56. And I was married. I'm divorced 20 years. I lived in South Korea for the last 16 years, 17 years. And for the last 3 years, I've lived here in Sri Lanka. So I'm going to talk to you about my personal experiences. Okay, what I have experienced, what I have seen, and maybe you could learn a little bit from me. So I want to say thank you to everyone who is joining, who is liking, commenting, sharing. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you believe is, just fixing this, what you believe in what I'm saying. If you like what I'm saying, if you don't like, just make a comment. I would greatly appreciate it. I see you guys watching these videos after the fact, as I check the analytics. So I truly appreciate you watching. Please comment. That really helps gets the channel out. And if you want to support, click the link down below and sponsor me. I greatly appreciate that. I want to take a quick moment, Sunday morning, and I want to take a moment to remember last week, not last week, 4 days ago was the 31st anniversary of the death of one of the greatest, if not the greatest, auto racing legend ever. Ayrton Senna passed away at Imola on May 1st. I was watching that race live, and let me tell you something. Still today, I mean, I saw Greg Moore pass away. I saw Dale Earnhardt Sr. pass away, doing what they loved the most. And I say this all the time. My heroes, my sports heroes, they don't get red cards. They don't get penalties. They don't get, errors or whatever, or stroke penalties or 5-yard penalties or whatever. My heroes make a mistake, they die. And to see that happen, and Gilles Villeneuve, Roland Ratzenberger, just the names go on and on and on. It's a dangerous sport. It's a thrilling sport. And to see one of the greatest drivers in the world ever because of a mechanical failure, not because of his error, but because of a mechanical failure. It's still up in the air as to what happened. They, even 31 years later, they still conclusively have not said it was either downforce or the steering failed. But anyway, I'm a huge auto racing fan, if you guys don't already know that. Huge racing fan, and I was very lucky to see him race in 1984 in Portugal. I was 16, 17 years old, and I got to see him race in Portugal, which was spectacular because He's Brazilian, and Portuguese and Brazilians share a common history. So it was great to see him, and he won that race. So it was spectacular for the Portuguese. But he's Brazilian, so Portugal and Brazil both speak Portuguese. They have a history, a shared history. Um, I met Greg Moore because he's Canadian. I met him in the Indy Series, so that was spectacular to meet him. I never got to see Dale Earnhardt Sr. race. I never watched a NASCAR race. And Gilles Villeneuve passed away. I was too young. Canadian Formula One race car driver, father of Jacques Villeneuve. Formula One world champion, IndyCar world champion, NASCAR driver. Jacques has driven in all three of the top race car series. So yeah, I'm a huge race car fan. I hope one day to be able to go see another Formula One race before my life ends. But they're just ridiculously expensive. Like, unless I can go to China, which is one of the cheaper races, it's just to really enjoy the race. You have to, be close to the action, be in the pits, get a pit pass. You can't go in the cheap seats. But you don't go to a race to watch the race. You go to a race to experience the ambiance. You really can't see a race because you're watching the TV screens the whole time. Because it's just right in front of you. You're there more for the excitement than anything else. Anyway, on to other news. It's hot. Is it hot? It's hot. It is only 6:45 in the morning, and it is 30 degrees. It hasn't really started raining all that much. We get rain for a couple of hours, and that's it, or even maybe 10 minutes. So it's hot. Cannot wait for the winter. I never thought I would ever say that. The winter in Sri Lanka just means it's not as hot. But I'm looking forward to that. So what do we have coming up? In this month, welcome to May. We're in May, and I'm changing my schedule a little bit. I'm going to do videos on Mondays and Fridays, and I'm going to do live streams on Wednesdays and Sundays. So I'm changing it up a little because I don't have a lot of content to produce, and I don't want to just make a video just for the sake of making a video. My schedule is changing a little bit, so I have to balance work life. This is life. This is not work for me. I really love making videos for you guys. So if you want to see something, if you want me to do something, comment below, and I will try my best to get it done. I have a lot of new subscribers who are commenting. I truly appreciate that. I love it. And they're asking for videos, but unfortunately, I can't do domestic travel videos. I really can't. And cost of living videos are really difficult to do, especially when it comes to rent. Because each person's needs are different. My needs are different than yours. I can do a general one, which I'm going to do. So, I can do videos like that, but I found that it's not helpful because the price of a condo can be different from one right next door. The cost of living can be different from one week to another. And it's very misleading to make a video like that and get your hopes up. I can give round like low budget, medium budget, luxury, right? I can do that, and I can give like a broad-based analysis, which I'm going to do. But to give a specific, like to go to a place and show you, say this is how much this costs, there's enough videos out there doing that, and it's just my personal opinion is that it's not informative. I don't look at videos like that because I don't find them reliable. Because it changes all the time. I want more of a general idea, right? Give me a roundabout calculation. That's what I appreciate. So what I'm going to be doing this month is focusing more on financial, medical, cost of living. A lot of people have been asking about what is retirement in Sri Lanka like? What do I have to look forward to, or what pitfalls should I avoid? So that's what I'm going to focus on, and hopefully you guys will like that and continue watching. I appreciate it. So thank you again, guys, for joining. I truly appreciate you. If you like what I'm doing, click the link before, support me, sponsor me, or watch a commercial. Watch a commercial all the way through. That would really help because the channel is monetized. I greatly appreciate it. So let's talk about debt. And in my opinion, one of the things that really kills is not health. So if I had to categorize life, health, job, relationships, and finance and debt, we'll wrap that up. I think finance and debt is number one. If your finances and your debt are not under control, that will ruin everything else, because that affects your stress level, which affects your health. And the stress in your health affects your relationships, or your ability to have a healthy relationship. So, I mean, if you're unhealthy and you have no debt and good finances, you can take care of your health. If your relationships are, they don't really affect your finances. Well, it is if you're spending too much, like I used to. But, number one is killer, in my opinion, or something that affects your life the greatest, is your finances and your debt. So what is my opinion? What are my thoughts? Well, I mean, we all know debt is not good. And I have a video coming out on Friday. Is it Friday or Monday? This week, talking specifically about that. But let's get into it here. We are not taught in school about debt, about money. They don't teach us they didn't teach me when I went to school. I don't know about today, but when I was in school, they didn't teach us about debt. They didn't teach us about money. They didn't teach us about finance. They didn't teach us about credit cards. They didn't teach us about loans. They didn't teach us about mortgages. And that's wrong. And that's why, I mean, I don't have a conspiracy theory, but it kind of is telling that the people who make the most money from debt are the ones who control our education. There's something to be said about that. Why are the rich people getting richer and the middle class not getting ahead? Well, because we keep getting into debt. And why is that? Well, because we're marketed. Buy the luxury handbag. You don't see rich people flaunting their richness. You see the ultra rich just living average lifestyles. Yes, they have mansions and cars and yachts and stuff, but they don't go out and buy gold chains and Birkenstocks and luxury clothes and to show off to people. Um, the rich don't look rich. That's the first thing. So I made mistakes of buying things I shouldn't have. I was materialistic when I was young. These days, no. These days, I buy things that make me happy, that give me pleasure. So my biggest expense are my vacations. So I will spend money on VIP service. I love it. I love being taken care of. In the past, I used to get it. I used to get it for free, but I'm used to it. It makes me feel good, and it's a reward. I look at it as a reward for the hard work I put in, and it gives me personal pleasure. So, like for example, I'll go to like when I went to Thailand last time. I stayed at the Hard Rock Cafe. I could have just sat by the pool in one of the chairs. No, 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 no. I wanted a cabana. I wanted a comfortable table with seating area with electricity and uh, beer fridge and being catered on. It didn't cost much, but it was an expense. But I appreciated it. I liked it. Hiring a boat for the day instead of going in the group boat. No, no, I like to be taken care of, and it's a much more enjoyable experience. You guys have seen the videos where Lady Sarah and I went on a private boat. So hot, like all sweaty. Ugh. So I used to spend money without thought. So I say this all the time, and I think this is true. Tell me what you think. If you don't write it down, if you don't make a contract with yourself, then it's not real. So let me give you an example. I'm going to work out today. I'm going to work out tomorrow. And if you don't really, you kind of like brush it off. I'll do it later. But if you write it down in your calendar and you see it in your calendar and you skip it, you see that you've skipped it. It's a psychological thing. Yeah, I cheated. You can't get away with it. I mean, you can ignore it, but it hurts more psychologically because you know you did it. If you don't write it down, your brain can kind of like, you know. You know what I mean when I say that, right? You know what I mean. A physical contract is harder to get around morally, as opposed to just thinking about it. So that's why you should get a budget, and you should write down your credits and your debits so you can see where you're spending your money. I started doing that about 20 years ago when I came to Korea to track my money, to make sure, because I didn't have a lot back then. And I had obligations, and I wanted to make sure that I could take care of my obligations. And because I had no safety net. I mean, I'm in a foreign country with no safety net. I had no family, no friends or anything. I had to take care of myself. So that was a real kick in the pants to get things going. So when I was younger, credit card at 18, car loan, rent. Then the job came and huge amount of money, which meant I spent more. I didn't have student loans. Very lucky about student loans. Back in those days, school wasn't expensive, and mom and dad helped support me in that. but I paid my own way as well. Um, what else? Once I got settled in life and had my career going, my spending got out of control. Credit card debt, but it wasn't debt. I was paying it off. I had a great salary, but I wasn't saving. I was spending everything. I wasn't saving. Only towards the end of my time in Canada did I start saving. And the only reason is because I was making a ridiculous amount of money. I was making more money than I could spend. Um, and when I left Canada after I divorced, the sale of the house and the sale of the cars left a little bit of money left over, which I used to um, help my ex with a down payment on her place because she didn't make as much as I did. And our divorce was amicable, very amicable. We were still friends even after the divorce. Not anymore. I don't. I stopped speaking to her about a year or two after I came to Korea. I have no idea what's going on in her life. That's a different story. Anyway, when I came to Korea, I was finally debt free. I had a little bit of money, but that went within the first year because I had to put a down payment on an apartment. The way it works in Korea is that you give a huge deposit and you live rent free. The more deposit you give, there's a sliding scale. So if you give a low deposit, like $5,000, $10,000, you pay it rent. If you give more money, you pay less rent. For every $10,000, $5,000 or $10,000 that you give in deposit, it's about $100 less a month in rent. So I had a huge deposit, so not enough to not pay rent, but enough that my rent was very low. So I decided to get a really huge place. Stupidly, I shouldn't have done that, but yeah, I was used to living in a nice place, and I had decent money. So again, I didn't save. I should have saved I should have worked harder in the first 10 years I was in Korea. But not until, I've talked about this before, not until COVID did I start saving money. But debt, there's two kinds of debt. They say good debt and bad debt. There's no such thing as good debt and bad debt. What it is manageable and unmanageable. So a car loan is unmanageable because you're paying interest on an item that is depreciating in value. So you're paying more for something that is worth less at the end of the term, substantially less than even if you paid it all in cash. A house, although it is good debt, quote unquote, I don't believe in buying a house because things change. You get divorced, you lose your job, you have to move. My personal opinion is that it is unless you're starting a family, well, even then, families are adaptable. But the prudent voices say, get married, get a job, buy a house, have kids. That's, what you do. But who's telling you that? the people who are making money off of you, off your mortgage, off your buying, buying things for your kids, etc., etc., paying taxes, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's making money off of you except you. So how do you not get into debt, or how do you avoid debt? Well, there's a couple of important things. First of all, never get a credit card. I'm going to say that again, never get a credit card. People say, oh, well, how do you live in today's world? Well, you sacrifice. I have said this a million times, sacrifice. Why are you buying things you don't need or can't afford? You don't need Amazon Prime. You don't need, Harry Potter figurines and your hobby shouldn't be expensive. Oh, but it's a collectible. But if you collect it and just keep it in your house, it's not a collectible. It's a liability. Do you have homeowners insurance? Oh, no, because it's too expensive. Well, if your house burns down or somebody breaks in, there's all your stuff gone. I see this thing on this thing on Instagram. This guy, is it Caleb? Where he chastises people for their spending. And he's hilarious. He's a slightly larger guy with glasses. I can't remember his name, his Instagram site, but I think it's Caleb. Anyway, these people who come on and they're spending like $500,000 and they're 20 years old or 25 years old. And I'm like, what are you spending on? And these things called Lush or like figurines and like what cool. Oh yeah, I took out a loan for my dog. What's the interest rate? 100%. Payday loans. Oh my gosh, worst thing you can ever do. Yeah, I think I found it here. Hold on a second. No, I didn't find it. Anyway. So don't buy things you don't need. If you want something, save the cash, then go and buy it. Now, here's another side thing that you can do to help build your credit score to lower your interest rate. Interest rates on mortgages and things like that are important. You have to have a good credit score. So how do you build your credit score? Well, you need a credit card. So it's a what do you call it? Catch-22. So if you're watching and you have tips on how to be debt-free, comment, let me know. Or if you have questions, comment, let me know. Or if you have trouble, I'll offer some advice. I may not be right, but it's some advice that you could take into account and then do your own research. So as a young person, what you can do is you can use your credit card to help build your credit score. But you use it smart. What you do is, if you want to buy something, like let's say you want to buy a new TV. First thing is, don't buy a new TV. Buy a used product, right? Buy second generation. Don't buy the latest and greatest, because you're just buying marketing. That's what you're paying for. The difference between a brand new iPhone and the second generation iPhone is absolutely nothing. You're paying for the marketing on the new one, and you're saving 40% on the second generation. 1 year old. Nobody cares what iPhone you have. Nobody. Okay? Except you. Stop it. Just stop it. It's ridiculous. I don't understand it. So if you want something, save the cash, then buy it on the credit card to get the points and the credit score, and then immediately after you buy it, go home and pay the credit card. Don't wait for the due date. Pay it off right away. Everything you buy on credit card and then go home and pay it off right away. That way, you're showing that you are generating money for the credit card company because they make money from the vendor. They make 1.5% or 3% or whatever it is. And then what you do is you keep getting better and better credit cards until you get the black card or the gold card or the platinum card. It'll take a couple of years of spending, but as your life increases and your spending increases, there you go. Get a job where you travel a lot and your company pays for your expenses when you travel, but you use your credit card. You get the points, you get the money through your account, but you get reimbursed by the company. Oh, that's the best. That was the best. And that's why I had such a good credit score, is because I was a traveling salesman. I was a not traveling salesman. I was a salesman, but I worked in a territory, so I had to pay for gas, I had to pay for food, I had to, pay for different things, and then also, flights and stuff like that. So my credit card was generating a lot of money every month. My internet was paid for by my credit card. Every bill I could get was through my credit card. And every time they offered me a new card with more and more benefits, I took it. So that's what you can do when you're young. Now, here's the other question that you're probably asking. What do I do now, Sam? I'm 40 years old. I'm 50 years old. I'm in debt. Well, managing your debt is really important, and you have to go on a budget. Okay? You have to sacrifice. Okay? The first thing you can do is look at all of your debt and which one is the highest interest rate. Now, if you can get a consolidation loan from your bank at a lower interest rate, take it. Never pay the minimum. Pay as much as possible. As every penny that you have. Now, most people say that you have to have a 3-month safety cushion or a 6-month safety cushion. When you are in debt, you should, yes, probably have a 3-month safety cushion, but I would say sacrifice and just have a 1-month safety cushion, maybe 2 months. Okay? If you have a good job, 1 month. If your job is like, I don't know if I'm going to get fired tomorrow, then 2 or 3 months. But sacrifice. First thing is, no more eating out, no more delivery, brown bagging it. Okay? I fast. That's the best thing you can do. Eat less. Now, you can't do that, but eat smarter. Okay? No more processed foods. Those are expensive and not good for your health. Because your health is important. Because if you get sick, you have to pay for that. Now, in Canada, we have subsidized healthcare. In Korea, we have national healthcare. In Sri Lanka, we have free healthcare. But if you're American, you got to pay for that. So take care of your health. If you're 40 or 50 years old and you have debt, get rid of the highest interest rate debt first, not the lowest amount. Get rid of the highest interest rate. If you have a car, get rid of it. You don't need a car. Use public transit. Okay? When you go shopping, get a taxi. Okay? Or do delivery. Do food grocery delivery. That's a great thing. Okay? And don't use like Uber delivery or anything. Use the store itself. So like Food City or whatever, go to their website and use their delivery service. That way you earn points, loyalty points. Points are the greatest thing in the world if you use them smart. Airline points, not so great, but loyalty points to a store is the best thing you can do. Number two, stop getting Starbucks. It's a waste of money. Make your own coffee at home. Save yourself. Instant coffee. Don't do the Nespresso and crap like that. Gosh, that's such a waste of money. Even though the coffee's great, and I'm the first one to spend money on my coffee machine. Let me tell you, the first one. I just bought a new grinder for $60. Best investment I ever made, but my coffee is a million times better because of the grinding process. And I buy fresh beans, but I mean, I'm not in debt. You are. So you have to sacrifice for 1 or 2 years or longer until you get rid of your debt. So number one, first, don't get into debt. Number two, if you are in debt, get rid of the highest interest rate one first. Talk to your bank. Go and sit down with your bank and say, listen, I need help. Help me. What can you do to help me? What is your advice? These are the people who are making money from you. They're going to try to help you because they want their money. If you go bankrupt, they're not going to get their money. So it's in their best interest. I did go bankrupt once. Stupidly, I made the stupid mistake of going bankrupt once for not a lot of money. It was manageable, but I was stupid. I was young and stupid. But I'm glad I did it when I was young because I got out of it. After 5 or 7 years, you get out of bankruptcy. Anyway, get rid of the highest interest rate one. Don't look at the amount. It's the interest rate. So let me explain that. If you owe $100,000 and you're paying 20% interest, and you pay $100 a month, $20 of that is going to pay the interest. The $80 will go towards the debt. But if you're paying 5% interest, then $95 is going towards the debt. The interest rate is the service you have to pay every month to hold that debt. So the higher the interest rate, the less money is going towards the debt, and more is going towards servicing the debt, the interest. And if you're paying just the minimum amount, you're just paying the interest. You're carrying it forward 30 days. Now, yes, there are times when if you don't have the money, yes, you service the debt. But you shouldn't have been in the debt in the first place if you can't afford it. That's the number one thing. Don't buy things if you can't afford it. There's a nice to have and a need to have. You need to have food. You need to have reliable clothing. Not nice clothing, reliable clothing. You need to have decent shelter. And you need to have healthy food. You don't have to have luxury items. You don't have to have Queen's Key condo, Rodeo Drive clothing, Beverly Hills mansion. Those are nice to haves, not need to haves. So, Whole Foods, that's the biggest scam on the planet. Right? Biggest scam on the planet. Go to a farmer's market. Shop after 7 p.m. on a weekday. That's when they discount all the meats and stuff. Every penny you save is a penny you can put towards your debt. It's not easy. But would you rather be debt-free or would you rather be suffering for the rest of your life? Sacrifice for 1 or 2 years, and then you can live debt-free. Being debt-free is the best thing. Oh my God, the feeling I had. Now, for me, debt wasn't an issue, but being debt-free is is so rewarding because I don't have to work. I have no bills. Now, I have enough money. As I've said this before, having money in the bank is just like I've never experienced it. And over the last 5 years, 3 years, having money in the bank, savings, substantial savings, is like I've never felt that before. Every day I wake up and I look at my portfolio and the numbers keep going up and I'm like, oh, spectacular. Setting yourself a budget and then writing it down like an Excel spreadsheet or any of the online services. Now don't pay, okay? Get rid of, the other thing, get rid of all your subscriptions. You don't need this crap. You don't need Netflix, Prime, and blah, 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 blah. You don't need those crap things. Learn to download. I'm not going to support illegal services and stuff like that, but there's ways to get your entertainment for free on the internet, okay? YouTube is just fun. Come on, you're watching YouTube now. Get rid of your debt as quickly as possible. Get rid of your high interest debt first. Okay? Get a consolidation loan if you can to reduce your interest rates. Stop spending money. Put it into your debt. Forget about saving money right now. Take every penny and put it into debt. You're not going to save enough money to make a difference. Okay, I have $1,000 left over every month after all my living expenses. Putting $100 into the bank isn't going to make a difference in 1 year. It's honestly not. You're going to save more by putting it towards your debt and getting your debt gone faster. Okay? That's a fact. Look, calculate the numbers. Go into ChatGPT and say, this is my situation. Calculate how much money I can make. And it'll show you. I use it all the time. Oh my gosh. That is the one subscription I love paying every month because I get my value out of it. The amount of information that I get from ChatGPT, which is not 100% accurate, you have to cross-reference it, okay? But mathematical calculations on interest and advice is good. Because, like, for example, there are so many different interest rates in Sri Lanka. 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, paid monthly, paid yearly, paid at maturity, different interest rates. So I said, which one is the best? Now, I said, I don't need the money for 3 years. I am calculating that I am not going to need any money coming to me for 3 years, which is when my pension kicks in. So that's what I'm setting my target and my goal for. Age 60, which is December 2028. Yes, December 2028. So only 3 more years, 3 years and 6 months, which is when I will have enough money to fully retire and never have to worry about working again. Oh, no, well, I can do that right now. What I mean is I can travel and I can go from place to place. Buzz, I know, where is everyone? You know what it is that I am doing this at 6 o'clock in the morning, nobody's awake. And I find that a lot of my subscribers watch this after the fact. They will watch it in the evening. A lot of my subscribers watch in the evening, my time, which is probably morning their time. So Um, Even though I have a lot of subscribers, I only have about 300, 400 dedicated people who are like constantly watching. You are one of them, brother. Thank you so much. Can you remind me again where you're watching from? I think you were in Europe, if I recall. Sorry, my memory is just I have to write things down. I really do. I don't remember things very well. I thank you so much for watching. We're talking about debt. So if you can share any ideas or anecdotes about debt, we're talking about how to like not be in debt, how to get out of debt, how to not be in debt when you're young, and how to get out of debt when you're 40 or 50 before retirement. So getting out of debt is really important. So let me go back. So paying off your high interest debt, and then sacrificing, and don't worry about saving today, pay off your debt. Oh, Sudbury. I love Sudbury. Dallas. You must be nice and warm. Get the temperature difference between Sudbury and Dallas. I remember going to Sudbury and going to Science North and the Big Nickel Mine. And Sudbury is one of the places I have a checklist, like tallest building in the world, fastest I've ever gone on land, fastest I've ever gone in the sky, the furthest I've ever traveled from my birthplace. And Sudbury is the place where I have gone the deepest in the earth. So the Big Nickel Mine, I can't remember how deep it is, I have it written down, but the Big Nickel Mine is the deepest below sea level I have ever been on the earth. The deepest below sea level in the ocean was 44 meters. I've never been in a submarine, and I will never go in a submarine because I'm slightly claustrophobic, slightly. But the deepest I've ever been in the ocean is scuba diving to 42 meters, 40 meters, let's say. But the deepest in the earth below sea level was at the Big Nickel Mine in Sudbury. And I'm going to have to say that I was probably about 14. So I'm going to say about 40 years ago. About 40 years ago. Yeah. So I'm glad that you're here watching. So let's get back to debt. We talked about, as a young person in your early 20s, how to avoid getting into debt, which is not using credit cards, not buying things you don't need. But now that you're 40 or 50 years old, how do you get ready for retirement? You pay off those high interest loans. You consolidate your high interest loans to lower your interest rate. Go to your bank and talk to your bank. Leverage your credit cards against each other. If you have a credit card offering you a balance transfer at a lower interest rate for 6 months, calculate how much can you pay off in 6 months, because then after 6 months the rate goes back up. Don't transfer everything. Transfer the amount you can pay off in 6 months, and then use that credit card to lower your interest rate. Sometimes they say 0% interest for 6 months on balance transfers. So if you can pay $500 a month for 6 months, then transfer that amount from the high interest credit card. That's leveraging the power. Okay. And then afterwards, cancel the credit card. Or, well, don't cancel it, keep it, because having credit is good. It helps your credit score. But sacrificing for 1 or 2 years, don't worry about saving money. Once you get out of debt, then you can start saving. So how do I figure this out? What are the numbers? We're not smart with numbers, because they don't teach us this in school. They only teach this to rich people when they go to the Ivy League schools. Or the rich people can hire smart people who have studied the tax code and interest and investments and stuff like that. Rich people don't get rich by doing it themselves. They hire people to help them. But here's how we, as regular people, can make money. Okay? So The first thing is you don't listen to people like me. Exactly. Use your stock holdings to borrow against. Meanwhile, your stock still gain. Absolutely. Leverage your loan potential. Okay. Now, some of us, now here in Sri Lanka, I can't do that because the interest rate is so high. Interest rate is 10%. I can't get a loan at that rate I can't make more money than 10%. Okay. So that's the problem I'm having. Now, I'm fortunate is that I import money at a lower interest rate and invest it here and get higher returns. So it's a little complicated, but here's the simple way to figure things out. Use ChatGPT. I'm not sponsored. This is not a sponsorship, but there is a way to go into that app and ask it questions. Okay? And it will spit out numbers for you to actually be able to digest without having an MBA. Okay? So for example, Sri Lankan banks offer 1 year, 2 year, 3 year, 5 year, 30-day, 60-day, 90-day term deposits at monthly payout, yearly payout, or payout at maturity. So I said, okay, here is the screenshot. Here's all the interest rates. Here's the terms. If I have X amount of dollars and I don't need any money today, I don't need money monthly or yearly, I can wait 3 years. Which one is the best for me to recoup the most amount of money? And it said 5 years, payout at the end of term. It said this, find out what is the penalty for early withdrawal at 3 years. Even if there's a small penalty, let me know what the penalty is. You'll make more money on the first 3 years as opposed to put it in at 3 years. So Buzz, what do you mean by opening a business as a digital nomad? Like a digital nomad means you don't really open a business. I think what you're saying is I work here in Sri Lanka, but I make money in another country, which is what I'm doing. I work in South Korea and I make money at this level and I spend at this level. Darren, how are you, brother? I don't know whether to say congratulations or I'm sorry on the election. I didn't follow it that closely, but from what I'm hearing, it's a good thing. But I mean, I don't want to get into politics. I don't really care too much for politics, but you know, the Australian dollar, wow, brother, let me tell you, I saw that number. Wow, that is crazy what's going on with your dollar. Yeah, Buzz, I bought gold. I bought physical. Well, in Sri Lanka, you can't buy gold stocks or gold ETFs. You have to buy physical gold. And I bought physical gold. And on the advice of my broker, he said, don't buy silver. He says, there's not enough of a spread. The amount of profit you make, you lose on the sale. He says, it's not worth it. And because I spoke to him frankly, I said, listen, I'm going to buy and hold, minimum 2 years, maximum 5 years. He says, buy gold. And I did. And even with the drop in gold prices this week, I'm still 20% profit on my gold. Even with the drop in the stock market, well, the stock market's going like this here in Sri Lanka. I am down about 11% to 40%. I was 51% profit on my stocks, but that's on paper. But I have made money on my dividends. My dividends have paid out for this year. All I got to do is wait another 6 months for the next payout. and then I'll take my profit. So I'll get 2 years worth of dividends. I looked at the numbers you're saying about silver in third world. I don't know about any other country, but in Sri Lanka, silver, I looked at the numbers and it's just not profitable. In what I was looking at in 3 years, it's not profitable. I can make more money with gold. With the amount that I was investing, if you're investing a little bit, yes. But the numbers that I'm talking about were substantial, like a huge amount of money. Like 4 figures, high 4 figures. So we're talking a lot of money. Yeah, that's why the internet is full of people like us, right? We could, Darren and I constantly are talking about stuff. We don't agree on 90% of the things, but I'll tell you this: from what I'm doing, I'm being successful. And here in Sri Lanka, I'm being very successful and very profitable. So I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm saying what I'm doing for me is working today. Tomorrow, nobody knows, right? Nobody knows. I mean, who knew COVID would happen and that the world stock market would crash? Nobody could predict that. And that's why investing is a gamble. Stock market's a gamble. Gold is a gamble. The only thing that is guaranteed are term deposits, bonds, things like that have a guaranteed return. Even real estate, nothing is guaranteed. Okay. As a business owner, typically would have backed the loser, but the other guy is not too bad, and at least the election cleared out the loony green candidates. So maybe we get some clear direction. That's the same thing that happened in Canada. Canada, the Green Party and the right-wing New Democrats lost so much. They lost everything. So thanks again, guys. I really appreciate the banter and the comments, but I just want one thing. Let's just keep it like polite, and let's not get into politics too deeply, and who's right and who's wrong too deeply. We all have our opinions, and we're all right. I'm not right, you're not right, you're right, and I'm right. It's all about what we're all here to share our personal experiences on what. And Buzz, I love your question. What would I do with $10,000 right now? The way the market is going, the way the economy is going, I would lock that in at term deposits today. The stock market is too volatile. Gold is too high right now. Okay. I'm not doing mutual funds or anything like that because they don't exist. They're not here in Sri Lanka. They're not the way they are in the West. Okay. They're not that way in the West. If I had $10,000 here in Sri Lanka, I would buy a term deposit at 10.25% for 5 years, payable at yearly. Okay, especially in today's market. Now, let's go back a year. All right. I would have invested in stocks and in gold. I would not have invested in term deposits. You just agreed to buy silver. Okay, you know what? I'm going to relook at silver. Okay, just for you, I'm going to relook at silver and look at the potential. My personal opinion from what I have looked at, now I haven't looked at it in about 3 months, okay? But 3 months ago, when I looked at it, it was for the small investor. So if you had $1,000, if you had $500. If you had $100, you'd buy silver. Okay. I'm not dealing in those kinds of numbers. I'm dealing in high four figures, low, you know, $100,000, $10,000, $50,000, $60,000. Those are the kinds of monies I'm talking about. When I talk about four figures, I should be saying five figures, 4 zeros. Okay. I'm talking about 4 zeros or 5 zeros. That's the level I'm dealing with. Jared, I love that. Yeah, silver is a pain in the butt to carry around. The gold, the amount of gold that I bought, and I saw how much I got in physical gold. Right, I have this gold bar, and it fits in my hand. I'm like, that's like X amount of dollars, and I'm like, no wonder it's so easy to smuggle large amounts of money in gold. It's ridiculous. Yeah, platinum, and I even asked the the the, the place where I bought my gold, and I spoke directly with the owner. I dealt directly with the owner. Really nice guy. They've been in business for 60 years. It was his grandfather's shop, and they're the number one retailer in Sri Lanka. And I asked him, I said, listen, I'm looking for medium term investment. Okay. And I said, what about platinum or any other, gems or whatever? He says, gold. He says, over the term that you're looking for, you're going to get the greatest return or the greatest loss on gold. Okay. And he joked about the loss. He says, but if it's down when you want to sell, that's when you don't sell. You wait for it to go back up, and it always goes up, always. Now you might have to wait a few years. You might have to wait 5 years or whatever, but it's never going to go down more than what you bought it for over term. Okay, the stock market always goes back up. It never goes down, but you have to wait for it. Now, here's the thing. When do you sell? And if anybody knew the answer to that, it wouldn't be a risk. When do you buy? Nobody knows. But you buy when it's trending downward. Okay? You sell when it's trending upward. When you feel satisfied with the amount of money you make, and nobody is ever satisfied with your money. Now, I could have sold my stocks months ago and made 56% return on my money, and then bought them again when it was down. But nah. My thing is buy and hold. I'm midterm. I'm not long term. I'm midterm. Yeah, I know. I understand. Older, and that's why I am taking higher risks. I'm not short term. I'm middle term. So I'm looking 3 to 5 years. So the money that I have saved up, I only earned it within the last 5 years. Okay, I've only earned that money in the last 5 years. The money I came to Korea with 20 years ago, I spent because I didn't work that hard. I partied and I spent my money. I'm 56. I'll be 57 in December. And here's the important thing. I have no debt. I have no obligations. I'm not married. I have no kids. A lot of people have obligations. They have debt. They have mortgage. They have to pay for, they have family. Okay, um, so there's things that you got to watch out for. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention that. I have no obligations. I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have to pay for anything. I live, I pay my rent. I pay mom money for my electricity and my food. Okay, but it's not a lot because electricity and food is cheap here, and I don't need a lot. So every penny I make goes towards savings. 90% of my money goes towards savings. Now, here's the other question. Thanks, brother. I truly appreciate that. Handsome guy. Why no girl? Well, I talked about that in a video coming on Monday about marriage. Or is that video already out? I can't remember. Let me take a quick look. Yeah, that video came out on Friday. Why marriage isn't for me. So watch that video, and that's the answer. The answer's right there. I have one girl, Lady Sarah. Lady Sarah and we're not in a relationship or anything, but she is the perfect girl. And I said that before. She's a great woman. She's intelligent. She's beautiful. She's got a personality. She's got an attitude. But I would never date her or marry her. I might marry her, but I probably wouldn't date. It's very difficult. Our relationship is very difficult because she annoys me. I love her. I love her more than anything in the world. I've traveled now like 5 times with her. But our relationship is quite deep. And I talked about this. And Darren is right. I am very lazy. I'm very lazy. I talked about this in the videos. I don't want to. I've been single for so long, 20 years after my divorce, that I'm so lazy to invest the time in a relationship. I don't date Sri Lankans, and I've never been social in Sri Lanka, so I have no idea what is the age gap in Sri Lanka. I have no idea. I've never dated a Sri Lankan. I've never gone socializing in Sri Lanka. I don't have any friends in Sri Lanka. All my friends are in Korea. So it's either Princess Jasmine or Lady Sarah, or my friend Anuj, who I knew in Korea and lives in India. We meet up. She's too young. Actually, Lady Sarah does not drink alcohol. She never drank alcohol. She's never drank in her life. She doesn't smoke. She's very devoutly religious, some spiritual beliefs, and that's one of the things I respect about her. She's got respect, self-respect. That's one of the things I truly love about her. And when she's with me, 100%. So she is modest in public, and not to get too deep into private stuff, but she and I have a great relationship, and I get everything I want out of our relationship, and she gets everything she wants out of our relationship. Can it be deeper? Yes. Will it? No. There is the age gap. It's what is it? 35 years? No, 25 years. 25-year age gap. And I've known her for 10 years. I've never understood that golden griddle, golden grill. I've never understood it. I've never liked it. I'm not. And honestly, I'm not into the hip hop culture. I've never really liked hip hop. I'm more into house music and electronic dance music. When I was running a nightclub in Korea, one of the biggest nightclubs in Korea, one of the top three nightclubs in Korea, about 2,000 people a night. We had an EDM room and a hip hop room. The hip hop room was packed. I can count on my hand how many times I walked into the room. I stood on the outside of the room, but I never went deep inside to the dance floor. It's too crowded, um, and I don't like the music. Hip hop's okay, but I prefer EDM and house music. Um, but let's get back and wrap up about debt. If you can get rid of your debt as quickly as possible, then you can start saving, like I am right now. If you can, like I am, take 90% of your money and save it, invest it, it can help you quickly realize your retirement, or it can help you get into it. It can help you be ready for retirement. You should be debt free years before retirement. You should never go into retirement with debt. If you have debt and you're approaching retirement age, you gotta plan that crap out. And using ChatGTP can help you create a budget. And I've said that the number one thing that you can help with your debt is writing down a budget and writing down all your expenses and seeing, where am I spending my money on? Oh my God, I spent this much money on coffee. I got to stop spending money on coffee. Because then you can, I'm only spending $2 a day on coffee, but you're buying coffee 4 times a day, 20 times a month. Look at how much money that is. And then ask ChatGTP to calculate how much cutting out coffee will help you achieve debt reduction. But the thing is that if people don't have assets to take a loan out against, then then it's a crapshoot. So we don't learn this about leveraging assets against liabilities. But most people who have debt don't have stock. Okay. So one of the things that I was telling Lady Sarah, because she's an American citizen, she's dual Korean American, because interest rates are going down in the United States, I told her, and she didn't really understand this until I explained it to her. Put down 25% deposit on a mortgage. The more the better, even 30%. Don't go too high, but 30%. That'll get you a good interest rate. If an interest rate is like, say, 2%, 3%, 4%, you take out a mortgage on a home, on an apartment that already has a tenant. Okay? Long-term tenant. That tenant starts paying your mortgage. And there should be maybe like $100 extra that goes into a savings account for taxes, maintenance, and insurance. And you don't need to be making a profit. If you can, great. If you're not, if you're breaking even, that's what you want. Because what you want is at the end of 5 years, at the end of 10 years, you want your tenant to pay your mortgage. And at the end of 10 years, you own, and let's say $100,000 house, and you've only paid $15,000, $20,000 of your money for that house. So if you sell that house for anything over $20,000, you've made money. Okay. Now, obviously, you don't want it for 25. You want it for $150,000, $200,000. there's your retirement fund. Okay. And that's how rich people are rich. They keep taking loans on assets that they own. But first, you got to be out of debt. Because having debt, a bank will not look favorably on you to give you money if you have debt. Okay. So I'm only talking about my personal experience. Okay. I had no savings and I had a lot of debt. Yeah, I don't gamble with stock or crypto or anything like that, and I'm not getting into real estate, but there is something to be said about smart real estate investment based on historical facts. Gosh, my eyes are killing me. I don't know what happened, but last week, this has never happened in Sri Lanka. I used to have allergies, seasonal allergies, so springtime and fall. Um, Springtime seasonal allergy, fall pollen and stuff like that. It's never happened in Sri Lanka, but last week my eyes started like itching and it felt like I was wearing contact lenses and that they were old. And every time I blinked, it was like I was scratching my eyeballs. And it's been itching me. Now I've been using eye drops and it's a little bit better today, but it's been killing me. And guys, Darren and Buzz, let me tell you something. Each of you is correct, right? And that's why the stock market and these kinds of things are pure gamble. It's pure speculation. But what we have to remember is that it is based on fundamentals. And what are those fundamentals? Historical. Okay. When interest rates go down, real estate goes up, it's a good investment, blah, 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 blah. Okay. When it's going up and you're buying on the upswing, that's a bubble. Don't do the opposite of what everyone is doing. Everyone is buying, you're selling. Everyone is selling, you're buying. Right now, everyone is selling gold. I would wait, but if you're getting into the gold market, maybe it's a buy. Okay, and I don't know what XRP is. I'm going to assume it's like a crypto or something like that. I'm not getting into crypto. I never did. I never will. If I had, let's say I had an extra $1,000 that I could lose. And that's how I go to the casino. I love gambling because it's fun, which is why I like doing what I'm doing in the stock market, in the gold market, because it's like gambling. Every day I look at it and I see it going up and down, and it's a high. If I had all the money I needed for retirement and I had an extra $1,000 to play with, I would buy crypto. And Darren, you were right about 3,500 being the ceiling. And what happened was people started selling, they profiting. And that's all it's been, is profiting. It's going to go back up. I mean, the 2026 projection is 3,800, 4,000 from most of the major players. Now, who the hell are they? Nobody knows. And, nobody knows what's going to happen. But based on the fundamentals of what's going on in the market right now, and what's happening politically, it looks like this is the direction it's going. Who knows what's going to happen tomorrow? And this is what I'm saying. If you're out of debt, you can play with different markets, but diversify. Some people say real estate, some people say stocks, some people say mutual funds, some people say term deposit. Nobody knows. Okay, but the first thing is get out of debt. Okay, where do you put your money? That's a decision you need to make with the information that you have based on your beliefs. Investment is like religion and politics. Each person is right, each person is wrong. Okay? And we're not here to say what is right, what is wrong. We're here to help each other. Okay, that's why I started this channel, is to help. Yes, Darren, you're right. It's all, they lead the panic. Okay, and that's all it is. It's all panic, because it takes a while for their policies to trickle down, but the world panics, the stock markets panic. So that's why you have to ride out the storm. I got into the market before the storm happened. So I'm riding out the storm for the next 2 years, because again, and here's the thing, your investments have to weather the term of your retirement. So us who are in our 40s and 50s, when is your retirement? My retirement is, I've booked it for 3.5 years. Okay, that's when I need my money. Okay, and I have put my money in, and I can let it go up and down, but in 3 years, I don't have to take it out in 3 years, but that's when I want to take it out. So based on prevailing sentiment, fundamentals, and historical data, 3 years, I should make a tidy profit. Okay. After that, all of that money that I get is going to go right back into term deposits. That's where I'm going to keep my money. It's going to stick in term deposits because that's guaranteed. Now, 2028 is when Sri Lanka is going to come face to face with its debt obligations and IMF recovery, et cetera, et cetera. I have a positive outlook, but at that point, I will be out of the market. If the worst case scenario happens and Sri Lanka defaults again, I will be out of the market. I'll keep my gold because it's liquid. I can sell it anytime. But all of the money that I will have in term deposits, which the beautiful thing about it is that if the stock market and the economy collapses, the interest rates will go back up and I will make a crap ton of money. Now, the exchange rate is where I'll lose, obviously, if I'm traveling. But the thing is that I don't need to travel. I can still live here and still live a decent life, right? And there's so many moving pieces to retirement. There's so many moving pieces. We are focusing on debt, but there are other factors involved in debt, okay? Like once you're out of debt, what do? I have all this money, what do I do with it? Nobody can answer that. We're only talking about what we have experienced. And Darren is perfect because you have contacts globally and you see firsthand what is happening physically, and you're talking to people, man on the street type of situation. I mean, we all get our information from the media, but I mean, Darren, you're in a very unique situation because you're talking to people who are living this nightmare. Okay, so you have a keen insight into it. So who knows what's going to happen over the course of the next couple of years? Yeah, I'm focusing on expat retirement. This month, all my topics are going to be on retirement, health, cost of living, and visas, investment, those kinds of things. Social stuff, I don't. The social stuff, I'm not going to get into that because I'm I have no expertise in that. I have no knowledge of it. I don't know. I don't know, and it's not my. I don't want to get involved in something I have no experience in, no knowledge in. Cost of living, rent. I've talked about this before. I can talk about it broad based, but there's so many factors that are involved in rent. What I'm going to focus on next month is like budget, mid, and luxury. What can you expect? Okay, but and then in Colombo, outside Colombo, southern coast, eastern coast, northern coast, the prices are different. I can speak for months and still not cover it all. And like I said, in the social part, I'm not going to get involved in that. I'm sorry. There's enough other. I don't even know if there are YouTubers talking about it, but I'm not going to get involved in that because I don't have any firsthand knowledge. I wouldn't know where to go to start talking about it. You don't want me talking about something I don't know anything about. Okay, so that's why I'm talking about only things that I know about. Okay, so. Yeah, I have the time, but I don't have the inclination. I'm not going to do it. Sorry, brother. If that means that you're not going to watch, and you're not going to watch. I'm not going to do what I don't want to do. Right, my channel, right? And I'm stubborn and pigheaded. Just ask Lady Sarah. Just ask my mom. Just ask Bob. She knows I'm stubborn and pigheaded. Anyways, guys, I really do appreciate you taking the time to log on and comment. I really love the interaction. Okay, that shows how important this is to all of us. And Buzz, I really appreciate it. We may not always agree, all right? And I don't want us to agree. I don't want people to be a yes man. Darren and I are great friends. I love the guy. Him and Janet, when they come, we always spend time together. We always love each other's company. They're great people. But there's a lot of points we don't agree on. Okay? But that doesn't mean we can't be friends, right? And you said it perfectly. Agree to disagree. But that doesn't mean that I'm a bad person or you're a bad person. It just means we believe in two fundamentally different things. Okay? That doesn't mean that you're a bad person or I'm a bad person. It means that you're right and I'm right. We just move on, right? You're not going to convince me. I'm not going to convince you. So that is the way we should live our lives. And that's why I love you guys, because we are able to move on past like basic things and just be human beings towards each other. There are areas that we do love. We love good food. We love beaches. We love our family. Let's agree on those things, right? Buzz, why are you hitting on everything I hate? I was never a hockey fan. I grew up in Canada. I grew up in rural Canada, rural Ontario, a small town called Bradford, which is north of Toronto, north of Newmarket, halfway between Toronto and Barrie. Small town off the Highway 400, about 2,000 people in my village. And it was hockey and curling. And I never understood hockey. I couldn't see the puck. I didn't understand the game. It was never interesting to me. And I was never, as a young person, I was never a fan of team sports. I liked individual sports. And as a young person, I think starting from the age of 8 or 10, I got into Formula One. And then I got into IndyCar because it raced in Canada. And then I got into NASCAR when Formula One became boring because of Michael Schumacher just dominating. Watching Michael Schumacher race around the track 2 minutes ahead of every other car was boring for me. So I discovered NASCAR and I became a huge NASCAR fan. Here's a joke for you. I delayed my wedding by 2 weeks so that I could watch the Daytona 500. Hence why I'm divorced. A figure skater. Why do you say that? That's a strange thing to say. I don't like skating either. I never liked skating. Skiing, I was a downhill skier. As a young person, I did skiing, downhill skiing. I started the ski club at high school. I was the president and founder of the ski club. It started out with 5 people, and when I graduated, it was the largest club after school activity in our school, one of the most successful and profitable. Back in those days, to get people interested in it, I would play a video during lunchtime to get people to sign up, and it was, oh gosh, it was that guy who would play video, who would comment, and the ski lift and people falling off the ski lift, and I can't remember what his name was, Wayne Brady or Clive Owen or some. He had a name, and it. Who was the guy who made funny skiing videos in the late 80s? Warren Miller. There's ChatGPT. Warren Miller. Warren Miller's ski life. Oh, those were hilarious. So I would record these from the TV and then play it in the lobby of our school on a VCR, and people would watch it and they were like, "Oh, that's hilarious!" I was like, "Come join the ski club." And because we lived in Bradford, so we were less than 45 minutes away from Collingwood, which was the ski resort, local ski resort. And it was, I remember, it was great. It was great. So, and then in high school, obviously, I played football because that's what kids do in high school. They play football. But I didn't do the hockey thing. I never did it. I was never interested in hockey. I couldn't skate. I didn't like skating. And I wasn't really a fan of cold weather. I hate cold weather. I've always hated cold weather. I'm so glad I live in a tropical country. People say, well, you lived in Canada. It doesn't matter. My blood and my ancestors have lived in Sri Lanka for 5,000 years. So for me, 28 to 32 degrees is beautiful weather. Beautiful weather. But 60% humidity. I don't like it too humid. My skin has never felt better. My skin has never felt better. I'm fully hydrated because I'm in 80% humidity. But yeah, I'm not a fan of cold weather, especially what it does to your skin. The amount of chapstick and hand lotion I went through living in Canada and South Korea is awful. Especially in winter in South Korea, they use floor heat, so the air is dry as heck. Oh my gosh, Canadian bands, Honeymoon Suite, Cutting Crew, one of my favorite songs, Cutting Crew. All right, 8 Seconds, I Kiss You When It's Dangerous, Kiss You When It's Dangerous. Honeymoon Suite, Spoons. The Spoons played at my high school. Glass Tiger was from Newmarket. I know the guy, Alan Frew. Oh, loved it. Platinum Blonde. Oh, love those guys. Love those guys. No, Howard Jones was British. I was in the radio business in Canada back in the 80s. I worked for CFTR and Q107 and CFNY. Headley Jones. Headley Jones was a friend of mine. Still a friend of mine. We still talk. Chris Shepard. I used to be on the radio with Headley from midnight till 6 a.m. And I remember I used to be in the studio and he would talk to me on air. And one of my friends paged me. We had pagers back then. So I called him back and he said, "Was that you on the radio?" I said, "Yeah." Because I didn't tell anybody. I didn't know I was going to be on the radio. And then I remember I work at CFTR and 680 CFTR with Tarzan Dan. And Scott Turner on CFNY. And Q107, I can't remember Q107 who I worked for, but I was friends with Chris Shepard, and that's how I got into the club business, because I was friends with Headley and Chris. And Headley was at Club Max and Chris was at RPM. And that's how I met other DJs and owners, and that's how I got into the club business. I made friends with Matt Castleman and Ben Ferguson, and they owned I can't remember the name of the club now. It's like 40 years ago. Not the Factory. It was after Factory. I can't remember the name. It escapes me right now. And then I got to know like other people, like Charles Caboth at Government, and Daniel over at Circa. Life was good for me in Canada. Alfie Zappacosta. That name sounds familiar, but I can't place it. Did you ever live in Toronto? Yeah. So I mean, you're a few years older than me, so you would have, remembered the old days of Toronto nightlife scene. My first girlfriend was very well connected, and she knew everyone, and she introduced me to everyone. Oh, U of T, excellent. Me too. Yeah. You have to watch one of my videos about my life in Korea, my club life in Korea. There's a couple of videos there, and there's one I did earlier this year or late last year, which was a recap. Like I edited everything together and put it all into one video about my life, my club life in Korea. It was a calling that I never fully explored. There's one thing I forgot to mention about getting out of debt is sell your time. So you have a full-time job, but then get a part-time job, right? Work from home, but don't fall for these crappy scams where you like do drop shipping and stuff like that. That's all, don't do like affiliate marketing, do physical work. Okay. That's real legitimate work. Guaranteed. Clubbing in Korea. Let me tell you, I have never had so much fun and made so much money as I did in my last few years in Korea. I got paid a ridiculous. When people found out how much money I made, people didn't find out. The few people who knew me, when they found out how much I made, they were like, it was insane what I got paid for what I did. And I did nothing. I basically drank and talked to pretty girls. It was the best. And that's how I started with YouTube. I was Itaewon Sammy. Itaewon is the little village area, which is foreigner area where all the clubs are. If you guys know, if you watch the news, 2 years ago, it's where that Halloween crowd crush happened. I actually knew exactly where it was, and I knew exactly how it happened and why it happened, because I had been sitting there for 5 years because my friend's club was right there. Okay, 15 years ago, he owned a club right there where it happened. The door was right in front of where the accident happened. So I knew why and how it happened. I was here in Korea, Sri Lanka, and I was watching my friend's Instagram and YouTube the night it happened. So it's very, very sad. When I went back to Korea that year, 6 months later, I couldn't even look down the alley. I couldn't even go. It was it hurt too much. It felt like it was personal. One of my friends lost her sister. I've never met the sister, but I knew her. So it hit close to home. Anyway, um, that was one point I forgot to mention is that if you're working, work more. Okay. You have to sacrifice, and sacrifice means not spending money and making more money. But don't try to get rich quick. That is the easiest way to fail. Okay. It's the easiest way to fail and fall down. Okay. Um, I'll tell you this, there is no such thing as get rich quick. There's no such thing. There is no easy way to make money. All of these TikToks and these Instagram reels and these Facebook reels say, I'm going to show you how to make money today. If you want to make money, this is the way to do it. Just click on this link and blah, 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 and go to here and go to click this Amazon and then go to Pinterest and then go over here. And then if everyone did that, how would everyone make money? If you are buying toilet paper and then selling it on Amazon, drop shipping it, are you the only one doing it? How are you going to make money? It just doesn't work. All right. What they're doing is they're selling clicks, right? They're not making any money from you. They're making money from people clicking their video and getting it out there from advertising. So don't watch those things. There's no such thing. There's only smart ways to make money, right? And that is by working and selling your time. Okay. And speaking of, if you know, those of you who are watching, if you're interested, I sell my time an hour at a time. Go to buy me a coffee, go to memberships and then I will consult. I will do a life audit, an audit. I will give you my advice on what you should do, and I will sell you my experience specifically for you. I mean, the YouTube gives a general idea, but if you want me to specifically talk about your situation in private, we'll get on a Zoom call and we'll chat about the details of your life. And I will give you an honest kick in the ass. Absolutely. I won't hold back. I won't tell you what to do. I will make you realize what you're doing is either right or wrong by you analyzing it. Okay, I'm not right. Trust me on this. I've been wrong more times than I have been right. But because I've been wrong, I've learned what doesn't work. And that is the crux of my YouTube channel. My channel is based on my personal experience, what I have learned from making mistakes. And that's how I sell myself as a teacher. Okay, I go specifically and I say, listen, I have made so many mistakes. Lady B, you're online. Thanks for joining. This is my first girlfriend from Canada. And we were just, I don't know if you heard, I was talking about you. I said, my first girlfriend knew everyone in Toronto. And she introduced me to everyone. And Industry, thank you. Industry Nightclub. You were listening. Thanks so much, hon. I'm so happy to see you. I haven't heard from you in so long. This is my first girlfriend from 1989, I'm going to say. We were 21 when we met at my club in Newmarket. And we dated for a year or two and stayed friends until today. I mean, she is 6 weeks younger than me. Her birthday, your birthday just passed. Happy birthday. Just mid-February. So she's 6 weeks younger than me. Super smart. Like she taught me a lot about being a man. And let me tell you something. She was my first real relationship. I mean, you had high school crushes and high school dating and stuff like that, but this is my first adult relationship. She taught me a lot. And don't know if we should have ever gotten married. I don't know if we were too young. We were way too young. That's why our relationship ended. It ran its course. And I mean, we were 21, 22 years old, out of university, just starting work. But we were friends when I met my ex-wife. And my ex-wife did not like you. So that's why we kind of drifted apart. She did not like you. Not in the least bit. My parents still love you. They miss you. They don't like my ex-wife, but they love you. She was the first girl I dated, and it's the reason why I date up. And I have so much confidence in dating beautiful women or talking to beautiful women, because she was way out of my league at that time. She was 6 foot tall, blonde, long curly blonde hair, bright blue eyes, tall. Like her, most people are proportional with their torso and their legs. Her legs were longer than her torso. And I have this one picture from behind. The bottom of her shorts meets the top of my pants. That's how tall she was. And just stunningly beautiful. Like, I remember a time people were like, "That's your girlfriend?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's your girlfriend." "How long have you been?" Like, years. I'm like, "That's your girlfriend." Like, couldn't believe it. Yeah, so true. So she's emailing. Um, she's saying you have to live as a man before you get married, which is true. Those are very, very insightful words. Um, I've never. I don't remember if I asked you. I think I asked you, but I don't remember asking you. Did you ever get married? I mean, she knows I got married. She met my ex-wife. And it's funny thing is that we were both in Korea. No, we were both in East Asia at the same time, but I had lost track of her. We reconnected by email or somehow recently. But she was in Japan when I was in Korea. But she went back to Canada. So, are you still in Canada? I haven't spoken to you in a while, so hope you're doing well. Yeah, she was. I remember this one time. So when we first started dating, she told me right out, flat out, she goes, "If you're going to date me, number one, I have lots of guy friends. I'm going to talk to them. They're going to talk to me, but I'm going home with you." And I was like, great. And one of the beautiful things I loved about her, I asked her if she got married. She goes, "No, I stayed intelligent instead." Good for you, babe. I love you. I miss you so much, so much. You were the best. You were the best. Other than Lady Sarah, you're my number one. I remember she told me this, and I loved her frankness. And I remember how she proved to me the loyalty. We were at a club. We were social back then. And she likes to socialize. I like to sit. She likes to dance. I like to sit and just hang out. And I remember some guy was talking to her, and she looked at me and she just went like this because her drink was empty. She wanted another drink. So I got her a drink. I walked over, handed her a drink. She kisses me on the cheek, and I walk back and I sit down. And then about 2 minutes later, she comes back and she sits down with me. I go, "What happened to your friend?" "Oh, he's not a friend. It's just some guy who came up and talked to me." I'm like, "Well, why did he leave?" And he says, "Well, he asked me who you were," and I said, "You're my man." He said, "That's your boyfriend?" And I said, "Yeah." And he says, "Oh." And he turned around and walked away. And I was like, "Well, then it's not really." You can figure out why, right? But one thing she did, um, is at the end of the night. I remember this, and this was at the factory. I remember this vividly. The whole night, she was dancing and having a great time and talking with her friends. I was having fun with my friends and socializing with my friends. She was having so much fun. She was in such a good mood. And the one thing she did, this is just when we were getting like to the next level, like we were getting intimate, obviously, and we were in a solid relationship. And it's where the relationship goes from dating to like real, like intimate boyfriend girlfriend type of situation. um, the next level, sort of say. And she grabbed my hand and said, "We're going home now." And she walked, and I was going to let go and just follow her. And no, she grabbed my hand and she purposely walked through the club with my hand behind, like she's in front, I'm behind, and it's like up, so people can see that I'm leaving with her or she's leaving with me, whichever way you want to put it. But she made it a point. How do I say this? To make me feel good, to to show that no matter who talks to her, I'm the one going home with her. And that was like at that age. Okay, you have to remember we're just 20 years old, 21 years old. We're just kids. Okay, it's 1988. We're just kids. And at that time, that was loyalty. That was a big deal. That was a big deal to me, right? Um, Especially when she can choose any guy. Darren, thanks again, brother. We'll see you next time. Truly appreciate it. Lots of love. Say hi to Janet for me, and we'll see you soon. Okay. Buzz, sorry, I just realized you said good night. Good night to you too. Enjoy. Have a great weekend. All right. Um, yeah, Lady B, thanks again. Kill all birds with one stone. Absolutely. We um, and she was a virtuous woman. We dated for almost 3 or 4 months before we took our relationship to the next level, and it was. I don't know if we would have stayed together if we got married or if we extended our relationship. I think it was good that we ended our relationship as friends. I think it was good. And then we became friends after we there was some. I mean, we were young and stupid, but we didn't hate each other. We had the same friends, so we hung out in the same places, and we eventually bumped into each other and just picked up where we left off as friends. Um, and I remember you even had boyfriends after me, and you still hung out with me. I don't know how Andre ever put up with you. That guy, I loved him, but he was a weird guy, very weird guy. He was different. But you always like that. You always like the different guys. But she was the reason why I date women who most people would say that's out of my league. I have no fear because I learned that guys won't go up to them. And the guys that do go up to them don't see them as potential girlfriends because they don't think that they can ever get them. So they never approach it in that way. And I did. You see, that's the thing. I was never young and stupid. I was never young and stupid, only young. And 100% agree with you. 100% agree with you. I remember after we were dating, I asked her why you gave me your number. And I remember the first time I saw you. I was at my club at Spotlight in Newmarket, and and I walked. You were standing by the DJ booth, and I walked up to you, and I grabbed your hand, and I looked you up and down, and I went, "Wow!" And I said something I don't remember, and you were just looking at me and laughing. And I don't remember what you said, but we eventually exchanged numbers, and we were talking, and you eventually went out with me. But I asked you why you went out with me, and you said because I learned that you were the manager of the club, and you're always that's always a good person to know. And I laughed at that. And then, but then we developed a friendship and a relationship. And Lady Sarah is texting me now. Um, so, yeah, Lady B, I think you would love Sarah. She's just like you. So, Lady Sarah's, I sent her a thing. I would love to go to a Formula One race with you. And she's like, "Oh yeah, we can do that." I'm like, "You don't want to know the cost of that." uh, so, yeah, Lady B, miss you. Um, let's get on a call soon and catch up, see how you're doing. Okay. Um, and Lady Sarah, if you're online here watching, it's good to see you too. So Lady Sarah's just chatting with me. She's talking about the stock market. So she's saying crypto, and I'm like, it's like no. She was like, put $50,000 into crypto. I was like, no. So I need to. Show her something. No, Sarah's never been on a live stream before, but you've seen her in my videos if you watch my videos when we go to on vacation. So Lady B is asking if she's ever seen Sarah. She's never been on a live stream. She's actually in Michigan right now. She's visiting her family back in the States. So she's back in the USA. So I'm having three conversations on three different platforms here on Instagram, on email, and here. Um, so she's asking questions about money and stuff like that. Investing. And I keep telling her, no one knows what's going to happen. It's a gamble. Anyway, guys, I have to wrap things up. Lady B, lots of love to you. Miss you so much. You were definitely the best wing woman ever. I don't know how much I can tell you how much I love you. Mom and Dad miss you. I'll let them know that you say hi. But let's chat. let's chat soon, okay? And everyone else, thank you for joining. I'm Sri Lankan Sammy, retired with mom and dad. Looking forward to seeing you guys on the next live stream Wednesday and Sunday. Okay, Wednesday noon Korean time and early morning Korean time on Sundays. Monday and Wednesday vlogs. Lots of love to you guys. We'll see you all on the other side.